common question I get asked a lot is, well, how do I get rid of this feeling that I've got? I just have this awful like knot in my stomach, or I feel sick, or I feel tense, or I feel like I just can't be bothered. And like, how do I get rid of this feeling? It feels so real and so overpowering to me. And yeah, how do I get rid of it? Now, one thing that is really important to know about feelings is what they are and what they're not. So, before I came to this understanding of how we work, I would think if I felt something, then it was really important. So, I could be a little bit stressed, but not feel stressed. But if I was really stressed, I could feel it. So my feelings were telling me that this was a super stressful situation, and so I would have to take lots of notice of that. That's something I would really have to pay attention to. And that's how I led my life. It was, something made me happy. I'd feel it and I'd feel really happy. And then it would be kind of almost self-perpetuating, because the more I felt it, the happier I was, and then I became even more happy. And the opposite was true as well. So we tend to believe that if we feel something intently, then that's giving us more information about the situation that we're in, irrespective of whether it's kind of excitement or stress. Yeah. When we start to see that that's not true, gives us more information about our feelings and the nature of them. So what do I mean about that? Well, what do our feelings tell us? Well, if our feelings aren't telling us about the nature of what is going on outside, either the seriousness or the intensity of what's going on outside, what are they telling us? Well, they're telling us about the thinking that we're doing in our head. So it's our thinking that is driving our feeling, right? Not our outside world. Our outside world isn't driving how we're feeling. Our thinking is driving how we're feeling in that moment. So if I'm feeling really stressed, I'm doing really stressful thinking. If I'm feeling really excited, it's because I'm doing really excited thinking. I'm creating the excitement that I'm feeling in my body. Yeah. Now, this may be something that's really new to you. And you might be thinking, no, because when the kids are kicking off, right, that makes me really stressful. When I get stuck in traffic, that makes me really stressful. Or, when my computer's not working and I have 100 Zoom calls to do, that makes me really stressful. Like the stress is coming from my outside and I can feel it in my body. And I used to think that too. Sometimes I still do. Okay, that's the nature of how we work. What I would invite you to get really curious about is that, well, if that were true, you would feel that all the time. Now, I know myself, I'm a mother of 3 kids, right? They're all teenagers now. And I know at times I can be really patient with their behavior. And sometimes I'm not. And the behavior will be the same. Yeah. I know that sometimes my computer can be a bit dodgy. The Wi-Fi might not be as fast. Things aren't working quite as I would like them to. And sometimes that really stresses me out. Right? Sometimes it doesn't bother me at all. Not at all. Sometimes I find it frustrating. Sometimes I don't. Because I'm a human being. Yeah. But it's also the nature, because I'm a human being, because I'm a thinking human being, right? That's due to the thinking that I'm doing in the moment and how real that thinking feels to me in the moment. So let's go back to our original question here. How do I get rid of this awful feeling that I have? Well, when we start to see that, oh, my thinking produces the feeling that I have in my body, then most of the time we can spot that. Once we become aware of it and we've seen it, right? Often we don't even see our thinking. It's like invisible to us. Yeah, but when we've become aware of it, we notice it a bit more. We start to see it a little bit more. And so when you start to see, oh yeah, I was really winding myself up. I was saying myself, I had to get on that meeting, and if I didn't, then this would happen, and this would happen, and I was getting, I was doing lots of stressful thinking in that situation. When we start to notice it, that the power of noticing is so understanding. I mean, it's amazing that we can notice our thinking, but when we do notice it, it has the impact of neutralizing that thought. It kind of loses its grip a little bit, and we end up having a little bit of a space. And in that space, we often hear a little bit of common sense. Yeah? And that common sense might be, well, just walk away for 5 minutes. And I'm sure it'll work in a minute. Go and get a cup of tea. Go and take a break, or whatever. But we hear some common sense that comes through. And when we follow that common sense, our thinking starts to settle. And the feeling starts to settle. It just starts to dissipate. It starts to disappear. And the feeling goes. And do you know what? We haven't done anything. This is how our internal system works. And when we start to notice it, we can use it more in a way that creates a healthier and easier relationship. Because we are human. We're going to get a stressful thought. We're going to react because that's what we do. But when we start to notice that we're in that reactive state, and we've got all the feeling that is associated with it that we don't like, and we notice it, and we're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. We can notice the space. We can hear for the common sense. And when we follow that, and sometimes we need a little bit of courage to follow that, because our chatty minds, if we want to call it that, can be quite persuasive to still be in the reaction. But when we notice the common sense and we follow that, it's like it navigates us back into a more balanced state. And we end up being in a much nicer feeling.